Hi again, this is Tom with the Knoxville Academy of Blade, my wife Stephanie, one of our other head coaches, and this is my fourth video in a series about the Tennessee Highland Swordsmanship Open. And in this one, I'm going to cover our rules for grappling, disarms, and related things like that, because that's going to be the same for the longsword tournament and the triathlon. If I'd been smart, I would have talked about doubles here too, but I've already talked about doubles, so not going back over them.
Go check out the longsword video for doubles.
Yes, longsword video has the most in-depth information about doubles. This is going to be about grappling and disarms. So the first thing is that an unanswered disarm is worth 1 point. If we come in and I'm cutting and she knocks it out of my hand and nothing happens, she gets a point. If she comes in and knocks it out of my hand and immediately hits me in the head, or in this case the body, she gets the points for this strike. Now here's where it gets interesting, and this is something we've used in class and it works quite well, but if you get disarmed, you have a single tempo, and the referee will be the final judge as to what constitutes a single tempo. You have a single tempo to engage in a grapple. And at that point, the grappling rules take effect. So if she knocks it out of my hand, boom, then, I'm trying not to drop it loud again, then I have a single tempo to come in and start a grapple. Meaning you can be disarmed and you can still score.
Sure that works.
So if we come in and she goes here, that, I would still score for a successful grapple. Obviously we're on bare concrete, so I'm not going to do a full throw.
Thank you.
Now, grappling itself, whether armed or unarmed, you will have a single tempo to finish your initial action. And if it doesn't, the grapple does not resolve inside that tempo, you will be given a 3 count by the referee. So if we come in and we bind up and I grab and immediately, I do that same grapple here. And so from the initial grapple to the conclusion of the grapple, single tempo action, or close enough to it for government purposes. I score for a successful grapple. If we come in and I grab her wrist and she grabs my wrist, then at this point, there will be, most likely will be a count started, but at this point, I'm going to hit her in the head, and I will get points for that headshot.
That went the wrong one.
Now, if we come in to that same bind, I grab her sword arm, she grabs my sword arm, and at this point, we're fighting over the blades. Now, the referee will start a 3 count. If nothing happens by the end of the 3 count, so 1, 2, 3, slower than that, but obviously 1, 2, 3, we're still in this position or we're still fighting over the blades, then the referee will call a halt and a reset, and nothing happens. If at any point during that 3 count, you land a strike, you make a successful grapple or throw, then you get the points for that like you would anything else. So if we come in here, and I grab her wrist, and she grabs my wrist, and so now we're at the point where the referee is going to start counting.
1,
And it's going to go 1, 2, 3, here, something like that. I would get a point for a successful grapple. Ring outs also net you a point. So if we come in to a bind, and you don't even have to ring them out from a grapple, but I'm just going to use one to segue into the next section as well. We come into a bind, grab the arm, she grabs my arm, I start to do something, and she just straight up Sparta kicks me in the stomach. Pushes me out of bounds. She gets a point for a ring out. If she does that and I don't go out of bounds, then the grapple's been broken, nothing done, the countdown stops, and the fight continues. That's the other thing. If you break the grapple, if you break an unresolved grapple before the referee finishes their count, the fight continues. Now, unarmed strikes. Unarmed strikes do not score. Unarmed strikes are still allowed in the longsword and the triathlon tournament. What is not allowed is brutality, meaning you can't just come up and hit somebody in the face with a roundhouse kick or land a haymaker. What you can do is use unarmed strikes to gain distance or to score a ring out like she just did. So if we were to come in and bind up like this and she pushes my blade out to the side, things that are allowed. This, back into that same position, here, that kick here to the stomach or the hip, those are allowed. Basic grapples are allowed. A punch to the mask is allowed. All those things are fine. What will not be allowed is excessively violent kicks to the knee, excessively, violent roundhouse kicks. Like if I just come in and I just do this repeatedly, especially, and that was terrible kicking form, so nobody showed this to Jess Finley. I just start doing that repeatedly for no purpose other than the fact that I want to just come in and knee somebody in the side. You're going to get penalized for brutality and bad things will happen to you.
The same is true with pommel strikes. We will call pommel strikes, and yes, I'm using a USAC. We will call pommel strikes that hit with this much force. We will call pommel strikes that stop right here. If I see anybody dent anybody's mask, we got problems.
That falls under brutality. Accidents happen, but if you do it deliberately, if you come in and you're like that, and it leaves, against the mask, well, we understand.
Yes.
If you come in and you're like, "Wah!" I'm going to be mad at you and I'm going to say mean things about you to your face.
You will probably
And one of those things will probably be going on.
Yeah, you will most likely be expelled.
That also goes for punches too. I mentioned punches to the mask. Open hand is better. These are to gain you distance. You're not going to win a sword fight by punching somebody in the nose. So again, here, this is fine. That's fine. That's pretty decent force actually. This right here is going to be enough force to gain you some distance in a fight. What I don't want to see again, just like the pommel strikes, what I don't want to see is a bind and then you rear back and you step into it and you throw some redneck haymaker at them and you're doing it to hurt them, to land a actual punch, then that's a problem.
Now for grapples, what we usually practice on is parquet over concrete. So what we teach students is to gently set your opponent on the floor. Where we're going to have the tournament is either outside in grass or on an athletic floor, which means you should be able to knock your opponent to the floor without hurting them. Do it nicely if you can.
Right. Obviously, the brutality rule is very subjective. If you suplex somebody, then probably going to have problems. If you come in, say you're left-handed like I am, and she makes a cut, and I come in and I do one of these all the way around, or you do one of the lift and drop. It's just don't do it excessively hard. The other thing is grappling will be scored based on a dominant position, meaning we can come in here to a bind, and I do this, and I'm right here. At this point, most of our referees will call a halt and a successful grapple. Obviously, done at speed, this is going to result in a throw. If you drop them down gently like that, you get a point for the grapple. If you stop in a dominant position, you get a point for the grapple. If you knock them on the ground, provided you don't do it with excessive force, you get a point for the grapple. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
That covers disarms, ring outs, grappling,
Pommel strikes.
unarmed strikes.
If you have questions, let us know. We'll happily do another video.
Right. An example of a fight continuing after a disarm, just to show how it would work and how it would be scored. I make a strike, she knocks out of my hand, boom, here. This counts as a dominant position. I have now won this fight right here. She can't hit me, she can't move, I've won. I have been disarmed, but I've still won. Ergo, I get the point for the successful grapple. If we come into a bind here, and I grab here, and she goes for a throw. She goes for my body. So I do like this, and she goes in for that same throw, grabs me by the shoulders, and as she's trying to throw me down, I come in and I stab her in the side, or hit the leg, or something like that. I get the point for a successful strike with the sword, just like I would during any other situation. So I think that about covers it. Like you said, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to email us, Facebook message us, anything like that, we'll be happy to answer.
See you guys March 4th.
First weekend of March.